Welcome to this new how-to. In this how-to, we're gonna look at the vertical takeoff and landing functionality of the Dornier Do 31. We're mainly gonna look at the, departure, right? So the takeoff. So let's go inside the cockpit. So what's really important is a few things. First of all, you need to make sure that you assign a control. And to do that, you can go to the controls options. And inside the controls options, you can search by name, and then you can search for throttle number 3, which is the control which allows you to control, say, the vertical, the vertical throttle, right? Which means increasing or decreasing the throttle. Make sure that you don't click the reverse axis, because then it might work a little bit different compared to what you want. If you, I would say, however, have a preparation of, for example, in my case, I'm using this one to pull it to increase the throttle, then that's of course really up to you, but then you need to enable the reverse axis if you want to make it, pushable, right? So that you increase it by pushing it. Then you might need to select a different option and deselect this button. So if you see weird things, then validate this button. Now, in some cases, you've got a lot of, buttons like over here, a lot of levelers over here. And you might ask, okay, hey, which one can I use the best? So if you're not sure, then you can search by input. And then if you move the leveler, in this case, it will show you, okay, what's the name of the axis? Because in some scenarios, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 axes, and then also increasing and decreasing, right? So a lot of axes, which is not really helpful. So this is an easy way to identify the axis. So make sure that something has been assigned, right? So I show it again, throttle number 3. Then select it, and then you either can say clear the current input, and then you can reassign it by using this button, which searches it, or you can use the select input, which is a long list of buttons and throttle axes, as you can see. But for now, we will leave it like this. Don't forget to save your profile. It will warn you before exiting this if you made any changes, so you should be okay. Then there are a few things which you need to understand, and the first thing is, okay, in the manual they say that you only need to enable this button, right? Makes sense. But there are some other options, or some other buttons I should say. And those are mainly for the view, because you can see a lot of view tanks over here, and here you can see the right and left view cutoffs for the main engine. But for the, special engines, right, which are being used to do the vertical takeoff, you also need to make sure that these two are switched on. If you don't switch them on, right, I can switch them off now, and then I can still switch on this option, which still shows green, which is a kind of, misleading, because nothing will happen right now if I would do anything with that vertical takeoff button. Also, if you would look at the gouges, which you see over here, there you won't see much activity. Then the next thing is that you need to make sure that you're selecting an autopilot mode. So the one which is enabled is, orange, right? So in this case, the co-pilot hover assist is switched on. However, what I observed is that it's not always, enlightening, right? So make sure that you select the correct mode. So in this case, we've got the STOVL assist and the hover mode. So the hover mode is, as the name already says, it will simply help you doing the vertical takeoff. And I would say then it will not go forward or anything. While the STOVL assist is kind of a hybrid mode where you're, driving and then also, increasing the altitude vertically. So we start with the hover assist, which is between brackets the most easiest one to do. So let's make sure that we switched on the buttons. Let me reset the view because else it will be a little bit hard. So one of the things before switching on this is to make sure that this is the vertical lift command, right? So if I switch or if I move this button, you can see that it directly interacts also with the throttle. So you don't need to worry initially about the throttle if you're doing the vertical takeoff. So we're gonna switch on the view. It will also result in that some of the gauges will start to increase a bit. Not too much. Right here you can see these gauges are now increasing, which is good. And once they're, I would say, stabilized, let's say we're ready for between brackets takeoff. So let's do that. Checking again, everything is okay. Let's increase the hover mode in that case. And then let's see if we can go airborne, which is always a challenge. And here you can already see what happens. And that's something which you need to keep in mind, is that you might need to control the aircraft, right? So don't do this without, let's say, having the or leaving the yoke untouched, because then you will get what I just had, right? And it will make weird moves. So you need to make some corrections to make sure that it's, let's say, flying stable. Also look at the pitch, which you can see over here, where the mouse is. Look at the pitch angle. And then I would say once you're making turns, it's really easy to take off using this mode, right? So really nice. And you don't need to increase the conventional engines, right? So what you will see is that they will be automatically controlled. So once you're airborne, right, you can climb altitude like normally, like just like a helicopter almost. And then you can decide to either increase the conventional engines. And if you would do that, then at one point it will deselect the vertical engine control. You can also do it manually, right? So if you switch it off, then you will see that if you would look outside, that the doors are closed again, and then it will operate like a normal aircraft. And then you can simply, say, do the things. Watch out a bit, because we're going a little bit too low. Here you can see, watch out when switching that option, because it might initially cause some weird things. So that's how you can use the hover mode from the VTOL functionality of the Dornier. So as mentioned, there is a second option. So let's show that. So for that, I'm gonna reset the flight. And then I will show you the other option. So let me make sure that I decreased all the options, set everything correctly. So that's good. Always checking. So you can see that the fuel tanks or the fuel for the engines has already been set correctly. Then we're again gonna make sure that this one has been selected. But in this case, we're gonna use this one. And what you saw is that it automatically switches off the hover mode. So don't worry about that, because that's perfectly normal. Then we're going to increase the speed to 80%, right? And 80% is really, would say, probably difficult to see, but over here. But what they say in the manual, that you need to make sure that the vertical lift mode, and as you can see, I need to reset the view, is set to start. So let's do that. Like that, so nothing will happen. So we're going to increase the speed, and then let's say once we're moving, right, we can increase the vertical mode. So we'll do that right now. And what you then will see is that it will start off taking off vertically. Again, be aware of the pitch. But in this case, we've taken off vertically using the VTOL functionality, but this time using that other pilot mode. So be aware, two pilot modes which are possible. One of them can be used at a time. So either select the hover mode or the STOVL mode, depending on what you prefer. STOVL mode is the advantage that you can drive and then take off, while the hover mode is more likely like a helicopter, where you need to, let's say, go first, make a lot of altitude, and then make sure that you're switching to the conventional engines to increase the speed. Here the same thing applies, right? So once you're airborne, once you're happy, you can wait till this one to be automatically switched off. To be honest, they say that it should automatically switch off, but there's no, let's say, clear guidance on when it switches off. For now, we're gonna switch it off. And then you will see that the gouges over here, right, have changed now. Oh. Too high. Let me go down a bit. So these gouges will start to zero, right? The nozzle degrees. And then we can fly normally like any normal aircraft. So two nice methods to use the VTOL functionality for this aircraft, which will make it really cool and also really useful to land, for example, on aircraft carriers or maybe even helicopter spots. Here ends this video where we looked again at the VTOL functionality. I hope you liked it. If you liked it, then consider to use the like button. If you got questions or comments, then feel free to post them in the comment box below. And if you want to stay up to date about new videos I'm posting, then make sure that you're subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching and see you next time.